Straight, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Zwima. When they started, they are playing centuries ago on how crush the Islam. They sent one of their men to Egypt to study the secret of the Muslim. The person returned with a copy of the Quran. The person stated that as long as the Muslim read and practice the injunction in the Quran, they will be powerful. Therefore, they deliberated on how to tactically making the Quran insignificant and unimportant. At the end of the meeting, they outlined many programs which were centered on making the Muslim occupied so that they have little honor time for the Quran. The programs include secular education, sport, and music. As a result of this today, many Muslims lost their Islam, whilst others claim to be Muslim but have lost traces of Islam, all in the name of being educated. Buhari? Mutanen Chibok har yanzu da saura, har yanzu da sauran bring back our girls. We don't back your girls. If you want your girls, bring back our young uwa. Bring back our young uwa. Mun san me muke fada ko ba mu san yaran na ko ba ruwa na ayi arne waye larre yace see this see she kau wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin ya kare.
Wow. Honestly, it wouldn't be funny. It would have been funny if it's not like that's the man killing thousands of Nigerians. I mean, young children. He's got more than 300 of our girls in captivity, and probably more. And he has he still has the mind to come and taunt Nigerians. And well, we've got with me in the studio. I don't even know what to say, but to say that we've got two Nigerians here who are going to discuss the state of the economy. I've got Elizabeth Uwaifo with me. Elizabeth Uwaifo, we're privileged to have you here because you're one of the brilliant Nigerians we have in the UK, and you've done a lot for our community. And David Atto too, you've been here. David is a security analyst, and Elizabeth, you had first class in law from the University College London, and you still have the time. You're in the UK judiciary, and you still have the time to serve our community. Now, let me first straight to David.
Yeah.
Watching that, Shekau, how would you react to that?
I think it's important for us to concentrate more on the issues at hand. I think at first hand, a lot of people talk about him being insane. But insanity is not one of the characteristics of, terrorist leaders. And I think, for somebody who actually has, more than 300 girls, for somebody who, has a very powerful strategy. Yeah. I think, we shouldn't really rule him out. Leadership decapitation, which the government has spoken about on several occasions. The government has actually, the military has actually said, in 2009 that, Shekau had actually been killed. And that has been repeated in 2011. Yeah. We had the same in 2013, 2014, 2016, lately, where they said he was fatally wounded. That meant, he had been killed. So I think what's more important is that, we should not focus on whether Shekau gets killed or not. Osama bin Laden, was killed by the United States of America, but that did not stop Al-Qaeda from spreading. Yeah. So I think what the concentration should be on is what kind of counter strategy that the government needs to put in place effectively enough, to secure the release of the girls.
But when you watch that video, though, should we be angry? Because the Nigerian government claimed they've killed this guy. They claim that in an airstrike, his shoulder, it was fatally injured. That is what they said. Fatally means killed, as far as I'm concerned,
yes, of course. Yeah.
Or he would not be able to move. Yes. That does not look like a man that is fatally injured. Should we question the credibility of our military spokespersons that this is the time for them to be very frank with the world. They should tell the truth at all times, or else they just make a mockery of themselves.
Of course, one of the biggest mistakes that, the military makes at times, is to come into conclusion about, killing a leader like Shekau when actually investigation has not been properly done. So I think, one of the things which, the military has to understand is, move away from trying to let people see that they are doing something, because, it's not necessary. You cannot, say that you've killed him, for several occasions, and then he keeps reappearing, but then that gives a lot of elements of doubt in terms of, the military narrative, So I think it's important, for the military to actually make sure that, whatever they put in public is actually fact.
Let me bring in Elizabeth here. You've worked with a lot of investors outside the country. You've worked with, very big, huge investors. If they watch such tapes, how would they feel like? Would they feel like going into Nigeria to invest?
Yes, security is one of the big issues, and one of those things that that any investor will be concerned about in going into Nigeria. And watching a tape like that, it's like you rightly said, it's almost like it's making mockery of the country. Yeah. And the point I will make, I know that the government is quite focused and working hard on dealing with Boko Haram. I would say it's just going back to a point that David made. And military officers have to be very careful about coming to conclusions and making sure that whatever statements they make out to the public on issues that have great sensitivity and of concern to Nigerians and the world at large, they ensure that the facts are properly investigated before you make a conclusion that Shekau is dead. Check it well. And if it turns out that the wrong conclusion has been made, find out who is responsible.
Exactly.
Let us start getting to a period of accountability. And if it turns out that someone did not investigate properly, let heads roll so that it doesn't happen again.
Of course,
Okay, David, why do you think Shekau chose to speak in English? Because we're used to hearing him speak in Kanuri or Hausa or in Arabic. Is it Fufude or Kanuri, whichever it's the case. Why? And then why bring back our girls? He mentioned, he sort of make mockery of bring back our girls.
Yes.
Do you think he was trying to pass a message across?
I mean, first, the indication of why he spoke in English, remember when you listen to the entire tape, he doesn't just speak in English, he speaks in Kanuri, he speaks in Fufude, he also speaks in Hausa, and he speaks also a little bit of Arabic. What he's trying to do, recently he's been replaced by the Islamic State of West African Province, where, Abu Musab al-Banawi, the son of Mohammed Yusuf, has now taken over Shekau. So one of the things which Shekau is trying to do is, send a message, not just to the militants within Nigeria, but outside Nigeria, that he is still in charge.
He's in charge.
And bring back our girls is important because the president had recently made a statement in the fact that if Shekau is ready, or whoever has the girls is ready, to exchange them, and then they need to have a dialogue with an international organization. So I think what Shekau is doing is making the government understand that in order for you to have some of these bring back our girls happen, in fact, then you have to be ready to give back some of our militants. So because what has happened is the original aim of Boko Haram capturing the Chibok girls, was because, they needed women for most of his militants. But this tag of bring back our girls has backfired because what it has done, it has given Boko Haram, the golden chip of these Chibok girls, and they've distinguished these Chibok girls from other captives. So I think it's a dangerous precedent to put a special tag on the bring back our girls, whereby you have more than the girls, in captivity.
Okay, let's get back to the focus of tonight's conversation, is the state of the Nigerian economy.
Of course,
I would say, look, like my street guys would say, boys are not smiling.
Yes.
I mean, Nigerians are crying. You had the conversation over the phone. Most of the callers keep saying things are hard. Now, how did we get here, Elizabeth, and what can we do to get out of this situation?
How did we get here? It's taken a long time. Over-dependence on oil. And so we are held hostage to the price, to international prices that are not determined by us. So the Nigerian economy has been a problem, has had problems for a very long time. So these problems that we are experiencing today have been in incubation, and they are just merely being manifest at this time. And I know it's tough. I've just recently come back from Nigeria. All my loved ones are all affected. They're struggling to live day to day. But the point I will make to Nigerians is to say, it is not lost.
Okay.
The fortunes of Nigeria can be transformed in a very short time.
Yeah.
The reason being that Nigeria has a special appeal because our demographics is such that we are a market that cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
But what we need is to, we have a government that we voted in. We have a government that is capable, because you look at the cabinet, you look at our president. We have a president, we are proud to have a president who is standing for corruption, standing for integrity, standing for transparency. That is what we need to build the business community. Because what is going to get Nigeria out of its current problems is more business.
Okay.
Generating business within Nigeria. And that can be done. There are strategies for achieving that.
And but you work within that sector.
Yes.
Are we seeing signs of investors wanting to go into Nigeria with the security situation, with the so-called uncertain policy? I think the current government's fiscal policy, especially as it relates to foreign exchange, has not been... Dangote recently said they have misgivings, you know. They say something in January, by February they're saying something else. But from your experience, do we see signs of investors having confidence in the present economy?
I think that is what I need to see, because that is what is going to, that is the new strategy. I mean, I listened to the Minister of Finance in the way she talks about the recession, and her objectives are right. She focuses on diversification, investing in infrastructure. She mentions improving the business environment. For me, business environment is key. The question is, what we need, they've told us what the objectives are. We want to see how are they going to do it.
Okay, because you mentioned, sorry to interrupt, because you mentioned Kemi Adeosun, that's the Nigeria's Minister of Information, I want you to have a listen to what she's got to say, because the government claims we keep bashing them, but they've got a plan in place. I just wanted to take a look at what Kemi Adeosun said recently at a forum. I want to thank OAK TV for this clip.
The more fundamental question, are we confused about the economy? Let me start off by explaining and contexting where we are. We found out, first thing is, you don't just wake up and find yourself in recession. It is a process. We have been heading in this direction for the last 6 years. What accelerated it was the drop in oil prices. And there's no getting away from it. At a time when the global economy too is in trouble. So it's the worst possible time for us. Are we confused? Absolutely not. We have said from the beginning, how are we going to get ourselves out of this recession? One, we must make sure that we diversify our economy. We cannot, there are too many of us to keep on relying on oil. And we can see what's happened at the output data on the oil and gas sector. What's happened in the Niger Delta has dragged down the GDP of the entire economy. We're too dependent on oil. Whereas 87% of our GDP is non-oil. It is solid minerals, it is agriculture. So let us drive those other areas. And therefore the discovery of nickel, very exciting. Very exciting. That has nothing to do with oil. That's an export commodity. And we have huge quantities discovered. Now, what does it need? You see, the thing with the oil industry is it's quite easy to do. It's almost like lazy money. It's a small area. You just pump up the oil and put it onto ships. It's a lot more difficult to grow your solid minerals and agriculture. But we're putting together all the enabling environment for that. Rail. We're working right now on resuscitating the old rail line just to run freight. It's too slow for passengers, but we can use it for freight. What does that mean? That means that some of the agricultural produce that is currently rotting can be put onto trains, moved down to where it can be processed much more cheaply than currently. Remember, most of our produce moves on the roads, and you all know the condition of our roads. Why are we here? Because all we were doing was pumping the oil and using the money on recurrent expenditure. We were not investing. The NBS statistics are clearly showing that the level of investment has gone up. So we're moving away from consumption into investment. What does investment do? It's permanent. If you build a road, it's there for 40 years. If you build railway, this railway we want to revive was done in the colonial days. And it's still there. So we have to invest in capital. That is what this administration had said was our economic strategy. No, we're not confused. The times are confusing, but we are not confused. We're extremely focused. We know that if we can just bear and get through this difficult period, Nigeria is going to be better for it. And I must say, those who are criticizing us, not one person has come up and said, this is what you should do. No, all they're saying is, we don't like what we see. And we don't like it either, but it's inevitable. For as long as we rely on oil, and the price of oil remains low, and the quantity of oil remains low, we can't grow. So we've got to grow our non-oil economy. And that's more difficult to do. That means fixing the roads. That means fixing the rail. That means doing our airports. And all the money we've released is going towards those capital projects. And we're very, very, very protective of ensuring that the capital money expenditure released goes to the right things. Even look today at the type of contracts we're letting. Those are jobs being created. Real jobs in the University of Lagos, in the University of Ibadan. Those are jobs. We're not letting contracts for sensitization. We're not letting contracts for, jamboree and wasteful things. We're letting contracts for capital projects. And that's what's going to get this economy moving. So I think that we have a long way to go. We're not confused and we're not deceiving ourselves that everything is rosy. It's not. It's a difficult time for Nigeria, but I think Nigeria is in the right hands. And if we can stick with our strategy, we still have some adjustments to make. I think we need to make some adjustments in monetary policy. It's quite clear we do, and we will do that. We're working on that. We need to try and find a way to support the manufacturing sector better, and we will do that. But look at all the things we've done. We've invested in capital. We have stabilized a lot of the state governments to enable them to pay salaries with the budget support program. Some states had not paid salaries for 6 months. Now they're able to at least begin to pay again. So there's a lot of hope in what we're doing, but it's a difficult time. And the alternative is what? To do what we've been doing in the past and push the problem down the line for the next generation. We've chosen not to do that. It's not the most popular route, but it's the right route.
Yeah.
Hearing the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, did that give you confidence that they actually know what they're doing?
I mean, given all these very interesting theories is also important, but the most important thing is looking at what can be done practically. We do know that Nigeria is experiencing multiple crises, not just the current economic crisis, but then, and I said earlier on, you're not just talking about the Boko Haram crisis, but then whenever a country is experiencing insecurity on one hand, and they are also experiencing starvation and a loose economy on the other hand, this is very, very dangerous because, as I mentioned again earlier on, you're not just talking about, Boko Haram in the northeast, you're talking about the Shiite movement in the northwest. You have the herdsmen crisis, which has not been resolved in the Middle Belt, the Biafrans in the southeast, and the Niger Delta militias in the south, which is actually giving a huge problem in terms of the oil production rate. So I think the country has a multiple areas that they have to look into. Security is one of the biggest impediments, which is actually affecting the economy at the moment. They have to look into that. But whether they have the necessary strategy and framework in place is one thing.
Okay, let's Elizabeth, going on my Facebook page, Abimbola Junai says the biggest issue with the present government is not leading by example. Both government and the legislature. And Ifeanyi Chukwu is saying it is laughable when we talk of an economy without having an empirical evidence of the number of people you are governing. That's talking about we don't even know what we're dealing with here. We don't even know the population, the real population of Nigeria. But let me take on Abimbola Junai's comment. We have legislatures that have paid fabulous amount of money. There seems to be waste in all levels of government. Isn't that one of the big contributors to the state of the economy?
Yes, well, that is the government we have. So we could change as structure of governments, that's a different issue. Whether we change that or not, we've got to deal with the economic problems today, the recession. Watching the Honorable Minister, what I take away from that is, number one, you truly have somebody who is capable, who understands the problem, who understands the issue. My issue, I will take her one step further. Give us a blueprint for achieving these laudable objectives. Particularly, where will the money come from? Because it takes to create, to build, to invest, to raise the investment for infrastructure needs money. She makes to the point that you need to build the business environment. I agree with that 100%, build the business environment. But how do you do that? What is stopping you? And give the Nigerian populace hope that things are getting better. I would say that things are getting better. It can get better. And I'll give you one example, and this is what I want to share with the Nigerian people, that have hope, things can get better. In 2012, a Chinese manufacturer was encouraged to come to Nigeria to install a ceramics factory. They started operation in 2013. Today, or just about 3 years later, they've built a $30 billion turnover business that employs 2,000 Nigerians.
Within Nigeria?
Within Nigeria, and sources 95% of their raw materials from Nigeria. They have a factory creating for ceramic tiles that is the biggest in Nigeria and probably the largest in Africa. All we need, I would say to President Buhari, put your ministers to task. Ask them to find out from you what makes that investor come to Nigeria. What's their experience now in Nigeria? Are they having challenges? Are they happy? If that investor says they are happy and they are dealing with their challenges, you are attracting 20 more. If that investor says they are unhappy and they are waiting to leave Nigeria, you are losing more. And again, another example I'll tell you, and this is again is for the government. In April, it was announced that a $1 billion pharmaceutical park was to be established in Nigeria. That investor has now pulled out because they are concerned about issues that investors are facing in Nigeria.
Like what kind of issues do they face in Nigeria?
Well, the sort of issues that it's
respect
lack of transparency.
Yeah. In the contracts.
Yes, lack of respect for contracts, and lack of predictability in our systems. If we fix that, if we start to create transparent procedures, predictable procedures, whereby investors can make their plans, and they come to Nigeria, they know that their agreements will be honored. So that is all part of corruption. See, I'm very enthusiastic about President Buhari, and I'm very enthusiastic about this government. Not because I have a particular affiliation, with them, but because that core principle, what they are fighting, is what lies. It's what lies at the heart of our problems today, and it's what holds the key to our redemption.
Okay, David. There's always mention about the role that security plays in affecting our economy.
Of course.
You know? But if you look at some parts of Nigeria, say Lagos, for example, things seems to be moving. You know, the security challenges are more in the northeast of the country, but things are stabilizing a bit. Are businesses moving up north now that things are stabilizing, or what more can the government do to make that place a haven? Maiduguri is an international border post, you know, bordering three countries.
Three countries, yeah.
Chad, Cameroon, and Niger, right?
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why it can't be a frontline trading post.
Oh, of course, you're right, you know, but you did mention that, you know, things are working well in Lagos, you know, but one of the first things that investors do in terms of, you know, coming to invest in the country, they don't just look at the countries, the areas where security is not being affected now. They look at the areas where security might be affected in the 5 or 10 years' time. Because when it comes to investment, you're not just looking at, you don't get any profits within the first 2, 3, or 4 years. So investors are very, very concerned about, okay, the security issue is concentrated in the north. when it comes to Boko Haram, but you also have different security issues within those areas. So what happens in the next 5 or 10 years? Is Boko Haram going to move towards Lagos or towards this area? So when it comes to investment, security industries look at what can happen within the next 5 or 10 years. So that's very, very important. You're talking about the Lake Chad Basin. You know, this Lake Chad Basin is quite a huge area, but you have serious problems with cooperation with other states. Nigeria having problems with cooperation with Cameroon. They say that they do the cooperation, but in practice, that is not actually the case. You know, so and then you have this huge issue, which we all know about the malnutrition of IDP camps, internal displaced camps, which is also one of the biggest problems that the government is facing, because it decided to employ a strategy of creating a desert and calling it peace. So I think there's lots to be to be looked into.
I want our callers. We'll let you call in now. The phone lines are there. You can call in and join the conversation. We're talking about the state of the Nigerian economy. We're looking at the security situation in northeast Nigeria as it affects states, and we're also looking at the role of investors in this. I'm seeing your comments on Facebook. We'll continue to encourage you. If you're on Facebook, you can see us live. And some have complained that you can't see the live stream on www.bentelevision.com. We promise you that is going to be fixed by the next edition, which is last Friday of October 2016. And we keep saying to you, this is a community-based program organized by volunteers, and we are very thankful to Ben Television for giving us this platform free of cost. To the chairman, Alistair Shoyede, we think it's a very noble thing to actually have your members of your community a platform to have conversations. Elizabeth, let's look at the legal. I've heard rumors that quite a number of times people don't want to come to Nigeria because contracts are not being respected. They have to pay. They have to line people's pockets to do business. But before you respond to that, I've got Prince on the line. We want to democratize this platform. Prince, good evening.
Good evening, Kayode.
Hello, good evening, Prince. Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead.
Abiodun Ijaola here.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, I listened to the lady regarding the 1 billion in pharmaceutical projects and things like that, and what we expected from our government and all those kind of things. The problem of Nigeria, as mentioned by the minister, does not start yesterday. It does not start 3 days ago. We remember when Jonathan was coming on, this man was distributing dollars in Nigeria. Nigeria is a naira economy. It's not a dollar economy. This man dollarized Nigerian economy. And today, we are now blaming Buhari. Yes, it is true that Buhari is not a saint. Buhari is not a messiah. But what I want an average Nigerian to understand is this. Buhari cannot come to Nigeria today and apply all what he did when he was a military man. We expected him to come and cleanse the system. We got to give him time. Look at what is happening in our National Assembly. What do you expect us to do? Is it Buhari that is going to stop it? Buhari cannot stop it. Is it Buhari that's going to dictate for the judiciary? Buhari cannot dictate for the judiciary. The cleansing has to be from the bottom to the top. Yeah. When we say from the bottom to the top, as I do go to Nigeria, when you get to Nigeria, before an officer attend to you, you got to give money. If you don't give money, the clerk will not attend to you. Where are we going? What is the problem? So the problem of the country is this corruption and mismanagement.
Okay, thanks.
All the people that have taken our naira from as dollars, that is taking it out of Nigeria, let them return the money.
Okay,
today,
Prince.
500 and something.
Okay, Prince, thank you. Prince made a very valid point. We're talking about what's happening at the top, but he's made a very valid point about Nigerians contributing to this crisis themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Nigerians are, I mean, the problem we have is a very complex one. And it's, I said that the root of our problem is corruption. And it's, unfortunately, it's endemic and it's spread across the whole system. And corruption, and when we say corruption, it's more than just people putting money in their pockets. It's systems being broken. It's something that robs us of the cash that should be in our pockets, robs us of our dignity, and robs us of, sets limits on what we can achieve. I would say that the President Buhari's government has been very good in, well, there are two aspects to fighting corruption. There's a backward angle and there's a forward-looking part of fighting corruption. The backward part is catching those who have been corrupt, punishing them so that it serves as a deterrent to others from being corrupt. But there's also a forward-looking part of fighting corruption, which is creating systems that allows Nigeria to operate without corruption and allows the system, allows wealth to be generated in Nigeria. And that is the part that I think we have to focus more on dealing with.
So the institutions like the judiciary,
and also more basic systems, like for instance, just an example, take President Buhari. He needs to maybe check what are the systems around me? Is there a procedure? Assuming that I wanted to speak to Buhari, is there a way, is there a path for me to speak to him without my having to know anybody? So, is there can I go on the website and it says, go send your letter to this office, and then later I will get a reply from that office, and I will know that the president has read the letter. So it's just basic. Let's start looking at transparent and predictable systems, and people of Nigeria have to contribute to that. And I will say that let's start holding our government to account within our little communities and networks. Let us anticipate, give some thought to what we think can solve the problem. And if you think you've come up with a blueprint, pester your government with it.
David, before I come to you, let me take Adiola.
That's
Adiola,
right,
good evening, Adiola. Please tell me where you're calling from, please.
I'm calling from London, Cable.
Hello, Adiola.
Yes?
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London,
Okay,
Cable, Northwest.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
We are very happy about this contribution. But the other man that just spoken about the legislator, Buhari cannot do all things by himself. Buhari is a one entity. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that we Nigeria, we are not ready to help ourselves. If we march out one day and get all those legislators out of their seats, I mean the senator and that's of representatives, can you see what happened between Dogara and Jubril?
Yeah.
So can you imagine? So Buhari cannot do all things. Let all Nigeria troop out. Let us go out in mass and go and chase them out of that place. We sent them. We voted for them. We sent them there to go and build Nigeria, but they are destroying Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much for your call. There's a clip I need to show Nigerians now that you need to see. And when I actually saw this clip, I was vexed, you know. But before I take on that, before I let you see that clip, it's a clip of some Nigerians on the sea. Let me take this call from Austin so that we have more people taking part. Austin, good evening. Hello, Austin.
Hello.
Good evening, Austin. Where are you calling from?
From London.
All right, go ahead, Austin.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm calling from London. Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I just want to contribute for the lady that speaks a lot there, that lady.
Mrs. Elizabeth, yes.
Yeah, what she said is the complete truth of Nigerians, you know. We Nigerians, we shy away from the truth and start pursuing the shadow. The economy of Nigeria didn't fall today, according to the Minister of Finance. Now, the people that hold Nigerian economy, they hold it just like the leaders of the military regime. They are still alive in Nigeria, and nobody touches them. If they can go on, hold if you look at how Nigeria started, since the creation, the military have been holding Nigeria captive, and the consequence of what they are doing now is what we are suffering. And nobody is trying to say about it. They are saying Niger Delta, Boko Haram, which is not up to 3 years ago.
Okay.
So they should go and hold the reality. Tell the military in Nigeria, who are still enjoying our money in our front, to go and come out for the corruption. And if the president who has a good intention to fight corruption...
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that. And that's our caller is saying that we should hold the former military leaders who still got a lot of our money. Michael is on the line. Michael, good evening, Michael. Hello, Michael. Hello.
Hello, Kayode.
Hello, Mike. I
Hello, Kayode.
I see the young one wants to take part.
Nice to see you back.
Thank you very much. Hello, Michael. Go ahead with your message.
Yes. I'm very happy to see you on the program.
Thank you, sir.
My contribution is this. Why don't we decentralize power?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why can't we decentralize power? Now, I was very interested with what the young lady said. The young lady said a Chinese company came into Nigeria to make ceramics, and they're making huge profits. Now,
hello, Michael.
that is very nice. But remember, Chinese are known for ceramics making, which is porcelain. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So actually what I'm saying is that what Nigeria needs is technology to match the growth. And hence they cannot do it. Why can't they decentralize power?
Okay.
People govern themselves as they can.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. That's a huge one.
Yes.
Decentralization of power. Some people have argued that the problem with Nigeria is the structure of the country. Like if ceramic is being controlled by some people, why don't they have a right to resource control? Why can't we have a weak center so that it doesn't matter who becomes the president of the country, so long the confederating units are working well? I mean, in the UK, people would not mind who is MP in Haringey, so long they're doing their own bit. What is it that those in power are scared about this issue of decentralization, that people would think they want to divide Nigeria?
Oh, of course, that happens, because, you have these ethnic connotations when it comes to Nigerian politics. And also, most of if you look at the system, the federal system, you still have states having some kind of an autonomy, but not in certain areas. So I think that's a kind of decentralization of power, almost like the United States, where, there are certain independent actions that states can take. So I don't really think, I think what the most important thing is not just decentralization of power, but having the institutions, and as she rightly put it, having people to be accountable to their actions, because what you have is a system whereby nothing actually works, and this system has been there for almost 60 years, and it wasn't meant for the type of government that we have. It wasn't meant for, it is not meant, to actually show some progress, for the country, and this is what we're experiencing. So I think the most important thing is looking at, two issues: the leadership, and the institutions that, we have in place, do they actually work? Yes, you have Buhari there who has a vision, to see that corruption is being tackled. But what about the institutions? If you go physically to these institutions, do you actually see things working, within the institutions?
Okay. Can I just quickly say something about that? I think we've got to be very careful. The strength and the beauty and the attraction of Nigeria is in its size. We must never forget that. And so decentralization will mean that we lose that. And then secondly, whatever problems we have in Nigeria today, even if we have it in smaller units, the problems will still be there.
Of course, yeah.
The problem we have in Nigeria is that we don't have transparent, orderly, predictable systems. I mean, just as an example, if you know that a bus comes every 4 minutes, you miss one, you won't run and push your others aside to get on the bus that comes, because you know that in 4 minutes time another one is coming. You'll wait. But if you go to Nigeria where you don't know where there's no predictability, you rush for the one that comes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, let me take the Femi, and then after Femi, we're going to have a clip, and then Shilese will come and tell us what's been happening on social media regarding this program. We want to apologize again that you were not able to see the live stream on www.bentelevision.com. We'll fix that before the next edition. Femi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
All right, where are you calling from, Femi?
I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think the main problem about Nigeria is just the structure.
The structure of the country.
I'm calling from London, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe the problem of Nigeria is just the structure of governance. The way it's structured can never work. We just need to go back to the original system of governance. because the power in the center is just too much for one person to handle.
Okay.
Let every region develop at their own pace. And the power in the center should be reduced.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Femi. On that note, thanks so much, Femi, for that. Femi thinks there's too much power in the center. Power needs to be decentralized. Let's have this clip, and then when we come back, Shilese will tell you what's been happening on social media, and then we'll take the program forward. Don't forget, this is your program, and this is a clip of Nigerians, if you want to know. Well, you're welcome back to Politics with KO, and that clip you just saw, it's a clip that's young Nigerians trying to get to Europe, and it's unbelievable when I saw that clip. And how did you feel? These are Nigerians, you know, they're happy, you know, off the coast of Libya. It's painful.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
So,
it is sad, you know, because this is some of the things which we've spoken about on previous occasions. That, you know, when a country has this kind of crisis, especially when you're talking about insecurity and this economic crisis, people are, you know, are looking for the next exit. And what has been happening is, you know, with all the insecurity and the liberty to cross through areas like Niger, through that, you know, Chad and then Libya to the Mediterranean, it's very easy for young people who have no better option to, you know, search for options which are life and death situations. So I think the government has to look into this issue and because it's all about it's flight. You know, people are actually fleeing away from the country.
Well, Elizabeth, these are young girls, and there's been a high rate of Nigerians being used as prostitutes in Italy. You know, but they could take that risk going through the Mediterranean. Are they running away from the economy of the country? Is it something? What can we do to stop this?
Well, it's very, very sad because for them to take that risk, and it just shows that they have no hope where they are. And that is an indictment of Nigerian society, that our young people who should have a bright future ahead of them feel that in this country, I'd much rather take a chance, go on an open boat, cross thousands of miles of seas.
I could actually not believe it that we have group of Nigerians who would take the risk to, especially women, you know, because they have to cross through North Africa and go through the Sahara Desert.
But it's just telling you, I mean, this is the reason why those of us who are fortunate enough to still be standing we must hold our government to account. I think the time has come. If our government is failing, the people of Nigeria should take responsibility for that as well. Because the Nigerian system voted them in. They truly are capable. Let's hold them to account, because part of helping your child is setting limits for your child. It's creating rules and holding them to account. Let's get them, let's then ask them for answers, but in a supportive way. So we as well have to individually think about what can solve these problems and suggest that.
David, how did these girls make it through? Because from what I've seen online, they passed through Benin to Niger, Cameroon.
Yes, there are various routes.
We have
border security. No. These are very extensive areas, Mr. Kayode. You know, these are not areas that can actually be manned. You know, because there are various routes. It's the same routes that Boko Haram uses, you know, to transport its militants. So I think, you know, all this porosity is one of the things which the government has to look into, you know, in order to stop that from happening.
We are almost coming to the end of the program. Let's take what's happening on social media. We've got Chile say. Chile, could you tell us what's happening out there? What do you have for us?
Hi, Kayode. People have been contributing. And I have here Oluwi Idowu. He says change must begin with the President Muhammad Buhari by selling off most of the presidential jets, reducing homogeneous allowance of the public office. And then Abiola Junaide. So the biggest issue of the present government is not leading by example. Also, Obiageni Adeko JP, he says, have we really ascertained it's the same Sheku reported killed many times that keeps resurrecting? Or it's just a different person assuming their identity? We need this issue as a matter of imperative, else Nigerians must start doubting the military, and that would spell disaster as we degrade that. He also says he's killed his body. If he's killed, his body must be shown, or voice analyzers must prove otherwise. It's not him, but an imposter. And then Henry Ekeponobi, he says, I don't doubt the military for one bit. Sheku is used by doubles. He says Sheku is used by doubles. It's more like Gobono, Jomo, or MEND. And Loretta, she says, too much rhetorics, very minimal action by the government, rules and fellowship citizenry, she says. We just talk and talk and talk. At individual and institutional levels, just do. That's all, Kayode.
Thank you very much. Yes, and very soon you're going to be Nigerian. By the time you start hammering those Nigerian names, we'll take you from Zambia and then we'll Nigerianize. Thank you so much. It was good to have you on the program. And we're about rounding up the program. We'll take this call because we just want to give you that last chance to have something to say. But before that call's coming quickly, first let me start from you, David. Your last word.
I think Nigeria has the human and physical resources, to be able to go through this period. But I think what is more important is for how long and who is going to carry this forward. I think the strategy needs to be very, very practical rather than theoretical. In terms of the security, that has to carry the same strategy. So we're hopeful, but that needs to be practical.
And Elizabeth?
Yeah. I would just say to the government, please focus on encouraging more investment into Nigeria. Find out how you can attract more foreign investors. Make sure you don't lose one foreign investor in Nigeria, and encourage Nigerians in diaspora to invest in Nigeria. Okay. Create the environment that will mean that they come in.
Thank you Look, I want to thank you both for coming on the program, and that's the end of the show.
Thank you.
And ladies, we've come to the end of tonight's show. We will see you next Thursday. Next month, last Friday of every month. So the last Friday of October is going to be Friday 28th of October 2016, where we have the next edition of Politics with KO. But if you miss this program, there's going to be a repeat on Ben TV, probably in 2 weeks' time, same time. It's a community-based program. We thank everyone behind the scene, Tony, Victor, Chilese, Rose Graham, and just everybody. And Tumininu, thanks for coming on the show. At least you've seen how things work. Good night, everyone. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria. We can't give up on Nigeria. Event. Since it's once a month, it's going to be your summary. Nigerians in diaspora would not need to go to Nigeria to find out what is happening. We'll be getting live reports, we'll have interviews, and we will also have live phone calls so that it's a conversation between us and yourself. It's an open parliament, free speech, no holds barred. Politics with KO is back.